Excellent. Okay, so the program that we have it for many, many years already. And it wasn't always King Charles College. King Charles College is an initiative from the University of Charles. And if you guys haven't heard of Charles University, it's one of the oldest universities in the world. It was founded in 1348. It's difficult to comprehend. 1348 is the Middle Ages. It's the, you have kings and queens and battles and fortresses, and it's crazy, but this is when the university was founded. From then on, there's a long history. It's a university that, because it's so old, it has lots of connections with many different teaching hospitals all over the world. And when I say teaching hospital, it's a hospital that it welcomes young doctors or student doctors to complete their degree or to begin their medical career. And not all hospital is a teaching hospital, and not all teaching hospitals partner with all universities. So Charles University, because it's a very old school, it has a very vast network of teaching hospitals all over the world, and they allow students to go abroad outside the Czech Republic and continue your practical rotations, which are the second half of your degree. And also you could land a job in one of the many hospitals across the globe. So that's an important advantage. And the pre-medical King Charles College was founded as an initiative from the university about 2 years ago, but the pre-medical program itself, the scientific training part, it's very old or pretty old. It's about 20 years old, which is not little. And like I said, I have been a member of the pre-medical and I've been working with students for about 8 years now. So this is the front. What you see on the first slide is the front of the main building of the university, which is located in the street Kateřinská in Prague, the very center of the city. If you haven't been to Prague, it's an amazing city, and you will have the opportunity to come to Prague to visit. Even if you're not going to study in Charles or in the Czech Republic, we do tours. Every time we open a program, a course, we do tours in Prague within the universities, and this is very, very interesting, and we invite everyone who's interested. These tours, they don't cost anything to you, and other than, of course, you have to buy the flight ticket and you have to book your hotel, but the tour itself doesn't cost anything to you. And we organize it for students, and we go to different very interesting places inside the university, like dissection rooms, anatomy museum, the physiology building, the anatomy building. It's very, very interesting.
Library.
The library, and basically you guys have the opportunity to speak to the dean, the vice dean, the staff, some of the professors that they come to meet with us and with the students. So it's very, very interesting, and we invite everyone in the audience, even if you're not going to study this year, even if you're not going to study in the Czech Republic, you can come. So the foundation, we are referring to a program that is physically located in Prague. The lessons are from Prague. The length of the course is about 5 months, or the shorter one, the short version, which is dedicated to the English version. When you want to study in English or continue your education in English, the 5-month program is the one that focuses on that. And then we have a lengthy program, which is 10 months, almost a full year. It's very intensive, and it teaches you, it prepares you for the Czech programs inside the Czech Republic. Then that means that you're not going to study in English, you study in the Czech language. And the reason why this is very attractive is because if you study in the local language, you don't have tuition fees. That means that you don't pay for your education. You pay for your living expenses, but you don't pay tuition fees. And tuition fees are not something small. So if you have the opportunity, and if you think you can have, how do you say, if it comes naturally for you to learn languages, for example, then you could give it a try. and then you're not gonna have to pay tuition fees. But I have to warn you, it's not easy. It's pretty difficult, and we had students in the past not coping, and then of course they transfer to the English when everything is in English, to the English part, and then of course they continue there. But you can give it a try if you don't consider. Yeah.
Sorry, Diego. I just want to add in from the didactic point of view, if you are a Slavic language speaker and have a base of any Slavic languages, it will be much easier for you because it is a Slavic language, the Czech language. So then this 10-month program can suit you. It still means that it's a lot of work, but it's very doable. Anyone in the 10-month scientific course also can apply in English and gets the English course in parallel as well. Important to know that.
Yeah, that's something that I wanted to say also. If you do decide to go for the 10 months, that doesn't mean that you can't apply to English programs. If you, along the way, you see that it's not for you, you can always apply to the English programs. Doing the long program will fit you to you will be prepared for everything. So that is something to consider. And obviously both programs, 5 and 10 months, prepare you very, very well in the scientific section, in the scientific part, mainly for admission exams that you will need to pass in order to be accepted. And of course, the Czech language. So the 10-month program will give you a lot more. It's more than double the lessons in Czech that you will get in the 5 months. And touching these points, I'm going to say that the criteria to be accepted to a medical degree, regardless if it's Czech or in English, is that you will have to have a complete secondary school diploma, high school, A-levels. You have to be able to go to a university level education in your home country where you finished your high school or your A-levels or your studies, your secondary school. If you can't go to a university level, and I'm not referring to medicine per se, it could be literature, it could be history, it could be biology. If you can study at a university level in your home country, then it is basically likely that you are able to apply for these universities, take the examination, and once you pass the exam, you are accepted automatically. There's no more barriers or obstacles. You pass the test and you are given an offer. So there's no such thing as passing the test and then maybe not getting the offer. The offer is there for those who pass the test, regardless of the amount of students that they need to take each year, etc. So obviously the benefits of these type of programs is not only the fact that you are preparing for an exam, you're actually preparing for the medical degree, which is an intense and difficult degree. And I cannot emphasize this well enough. Passing the entrance exam is only the tip of the iceberg. Then you will have to cope with what will come, which is not easy. It's a lot of material and it's a lot of things that you will need to memorize, that you will need to learn, and all at once. And students in general, when they don't come from a preparatory program, when they come straight from high school and they do manage somehow to pass the admission test, they can't cope with the first and the second year of medical school, not because they are not smart or because they cannot do it, but just because they don't know how to do it. And as crazy as it sounds, preparing for the medical degree and knowing how to cope with the material and with the time management, it's something that has to be learned. And it doesn't come naturally. There are tricks, there are techniques, and this is done during the program and it's highly beneficial, even more than, I think, equal to the scientific part. You need to know biology, chemistry, physics, physiology, anatomy, but you also, at the same level, you need to know how to cope with the material, what to study first, what to leave for last, what to give priority in the exam.
We teach you how to study, which is the minute you know how to study, the rest comes much easier. 50% of the success, if not more, is knowing how to study and how to manage your study time. And we teach you how to do that in addition to how to manage your day. between study time and non-study time. And we do that personally. We have counselors, we have the head of the program that sits and has personal meetings with each one, knowing where each student needs strength and where their weaknesses are and what they need to work on. And we guide you. That's why the course is 5 months or 10 months. You are not just given material and left alone to deal with. And moreover, once you get into university, you have the tools to handle the stress, which is that's the whole point of, I mean, that's the whole turning point between students who succeed and the don't in the first 2 years. There is a question here, how many years is the medical course? So a medical degree is 6 years.
6
Sorry.
years. Yeah, 6 years. And of course, this course is not years, it's 5 months and 10 months, like we said earlier, but if someone came later, we're referring to a course that is 5 months and 10 months prior to the medical degree. And the medical degree, of course, is 6 years. That is divided into 2 parts. The preclinical part, which is you attend university or school, medical school, just like if you would attend any other degree anywhere else when you go to a classroom. But although it's very practical and you go to labs and you have dissection workshops every week, the second half of the degree, which is the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th year, you do mainly in hospitals, which means you don't go to classes so much in a setting, classes in a setting in which you are used to. You're sitting in a classroom or in a in front of a board and a professor. This is not like that. And the second half of the degree is very practical, and you do have classes, of course, but most of the time you spend in hospitals practicing with professors and with your colleagues and classmates. The program will give you, when you register, will give you a referral letter or an admission, conditional admission or an invitation. And this is very important for those of you that need to issue a student visa. Then this is an invitation from the university, from Charles University. It will help you present it at the embassy and get your visa. And basically, well, we mentioned about the time management that we do in the course. The program is linked or aligned to Medical Doctor Academy, and this is for you guys to study online when you cannot be physically present. So if you're waiting for a visa, for example, or if you are in Prague but you're sick on that day, you can always refer to the online material that every student has at its disposal. The online material is pre-recorded, but we also upload every day the live lessons that we conduct in person. So basically, you can review the same lesson that you had the same day, and you can refer to the online material for additional support. Of course, this is all going to help you a lot for the exams in the end of the day and for the degree. Sorry.
Guys, I can see your questions. We're going to answer everything at the end. We just want Diego to finish the presentation because we're running out of time for the next sections. So
I'll finish very quickly. We mentioned that you will be studying in Prague, and if you haven't been to Prague, I will speak very briefly about Prague because I think on the second section it will be more relevant. The vice dean, the dean, or whoever is training from the university will speak better maybe about Prague. But Prague, it's basically in the center of Europe. You can fly from Prague to anywhere in Europe within an hour or so, maybe within 2 hours. It's a city that is beautiful, really, and it's very young, full of students everywhere. Transport is amazing, working almost 24/7. The living costs are the cheapest of Europe, pretty much. And it's a city that everyone enjoys. There's a lot to do: pubs, restaurants, bars, movie theater, whatever you want. So it's a city that will give you a lot of enjoyment, also, not only studies, but you can also enjoy. You can go to a cafe to review the material and study in Starbucks or something like that. So it's a very nice city.
It's one of the safest cities in the world. I think in the top 6, 7 cities ranked as safest city in the world. Very bohemian culture, accepts all religions. You feel very academic and student life, meaning there is a lot of cultural happenings all the time, and very accommodating to students. Students travel almost free on transport. From the get-go, you get a student card from the pre-med foundation program, and you can study and you can travel almost for free. Food discounts for students. It's a city for academia, so it's an amazing place to live in while you're studying and being a university student.
Next slide is what you will be learning. So this is an important slide actually, because a lot of the students that I speak to every day, they mentioned that they did studies and they did some science in school. They took some biology or physics or chemistry, and they said, but I studied this at school. Well, we don't study what you study in school. Of course, we go over what you already studied from school, but we really focus. The program is focused for a medical degree. When you study biology, you study how the human functions. When you study chemistry, it's how the body functions also. You see at the molecular level, and everything is very well oriented for a medical degree, physiology, anatomy as well. Even physics, it's very well focused on the physics that you will have in the medical degree, and more precisely speaking, you study, for example, MRI and all these, how this modern machinery works, for example, in the medical field. And of course, you get language studies because you're in Prague, so you study the language, which is very important if you are continuing studying in Prague. Might be less important if you're not going to study in the Czech Republic, but nonetheless, it's very interesting. You get the language hours and you are in the city, so even if you're living in the city for the time being, you will really appreciate the language courses because it will get you an additional tool to go to the supermarket or move around or buy your subway ticket or anything like that. So, of course, something that you have on top of all of that, you have interview workshops with Liat. She is the one arranging this, and she is the one training students. And you will have also IMAT preparation if you're interested in Italy. Also, there is a section for the IMAT that you can review and prepare. It's in a pre-recording setting, so you're not going to have classes about the IMAT specifically live in person, but inside the student account, you will have a whole section for the IMAT. And if you are interested in also considering going to Italy, this is the exam for the Italian medical schools, so you can review it. And the last thing that I'm going to say is the rotations. I did mention this in the beginning of the panel. The rotations are allowed, students are allowed to go abroad. They don't have to stay in the Czech Republic. Of course, you can if you want to, but you don't have to. You can go to two different countries, different teaching hospitals. Charles University is fully accredited in the US, fully accredited in the UK, and in the entire European Union. So if you're interested in doing rotations and also working after your degree in one of these countries, then Charles University will give you very good connections with teaching hospitals that could accommodate you, and it's very convenient. And if, of course, if you are going back from going back to your home country, and your home country is the UK or the US, then you're fully accredited by the university in those countries. If you are not from those countries but you want to go to the UK, then you can also do it with Charles University. You're fully accredited. You can get a residency status in the UK immediately, no matter where you're from, after the program. So very briefly, I'm not going to spend much time. Palack's University is also working with us. It's a smaller university, very modern, outside Prague. It's about 2 hours train ride. It's a beautiful school. It's one of the schools we visit in the tours. If you come to Prague to go to the tours with us. We go to Palatsky, we take a train, and it's a beautiful city, small town. So we go and check out the university. We also work with Zagreb in Croatia. Croatia is popular, especially because they have a milder weather, and it's attractive, especially for Northern Europeans. Then we work with Lithuanian Health Science University, which is very, very popular in Scandinavia, in Sweden and Norway. Beautiful university, very comfortable, very good atmosphere. So we also work with them. We work with Szeged in Hungary, a very good school. We have less students going to Szeged. Nonetheless, we always have students applying to Szeged. Humanitas, it's in Italy, in Milan. This is a private school. If you're interested in Italy, Humanitas might be your choice. Humanitas is a private university, and like so, is very modern, and it offers an amazing program, which is very, very modern. One of their programs is a combined program with medicine and engineering. So during 6 years of studies, you will become an engineer and a medical doctor. And the things that you can do, the sky's the limit. Because I don't know if you're aware that medicine, like everything else, in 2023 is leaning towards robotics, technology, AI, lasers. So in this university, you learn all of that combined with a medical degree. It's not an easy degree. It's very, very dense.
Challenging.
Yeah, but if you're good with numbers, you could do it, and then of course the opportunities for work after that then would be, you know it. I mean, everyone is with ChatGPT and AI right now. Everything is leaning towards that direction, so the university trains you for that. And this is Unicamillus in Rome. It's similar to Humanitas, but not in the same technological pan, but nonetheless, it's a private school, very modern. So it could be a good option. It's in Rome, in Italy. Last thing, USMLE is given to all of our students. USMLE is the United States Medical Licensing Examination. If you want to practice in the US, you have to take the USMLE, but USMLE is also good for other countries. When you need to get the license of the country, for example, the United Arab Emirates accepts the USMLE. So you can take the USMLE and get the license there. Also countries like Israel, and there is another country that I can't remember right now that accepts the USMLE. I think Canada also accepts the USMLE. It's given to our students, all of them. So you'll have it in your portfolio for when you need it. Okay, so we will start 4th of September, the long program, 38-week program, which is 10 months. The 30th of October, 2023, we start the 22-week program, which is the program of 5 months, focused for the English education at the university. And
Just to emphasize, sorry, Diego, the pre-medical foundation program is in Prague. It is located on the faculty, first faculty campus, but that doesn't mean that you need to only apply to the Charles or first faculty, second faculty of medicine. You can apply to all Europe and to the other universities we partner with that you've seen. That was the reason we showed you all our partnered universities.
Perfect. So the presentation is over now, and I see that in the panel we have also Dr. Adam Shoket.
Yes, maybe we can stop sharing so we can see.
I'll stop sharing.
Brilliant, brilliant. So would you like to introduce yourself, Dr. Shoket?
Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Adam Shoket. I am one of the creators building together the academic studies. I'm a medical doctor. I nowadays much more part of the academic studies in King Charles College, and my background is a medical family doctor, together combined with what is now known as integrative medicine. So it's a new way of improving and treating chronic diseases. But my role here is more the academic side. So any questions regarding academia, teachings, and so forth. That's where I come in.
Thank you. We have some questions here. Maybe I'll read them out.
Yeah, we have a lot of questions. Let's
So let's read them because we have about 20 minutes before we go into the next meeting room. Martin is asking if we have any programs in the Polish language.
I can tell you, Martin, that Polish is pretty similar to, it's in the same family of Czech. So you could do the Czech, try the Czech program, because we don't have anything in Polish. But
it is a Slavic language.
No, but Czech and Polish is very similar, very similar. I studied Polish for like a month because I have Polish roots. And when I go to the Czech Republic, I can recognize so many words. It's very similar. So I think you can do it, the 38-week.
Brilliant. And another question is, so someone asked how many years in the medical course. So the course is 5 or 10 months, and medical degree is 6 years. Is there guarantee admission after the 5-month foundation? Amit is asking.
Yeah, so there's no guarantee, unfortunately, but for the same reason that once you start a medical degree, the vice dean and the dean will not guarantee that you will become a doctor after 6 years of medical studies. You'll have to complete every single exam, and you have to study, and you have to graduate. So the foundation is the same. You have to graduate from the foundation, and then you have to pass the admission test for the medical degree, which will give you the place at the university. So just registering for the foundation does not guarantee anything. Like just registering for a medical degree will not guarantee that you will become a doctor.
But you need to know one thing. And this, I'm going to answer your second question with this answer, Amit. What is the acceptance rate? We, for almost 2 decades, year after year, managed to get 90% and over acceptance rate for students on their first try. So last year, even we got to...
Yeah, 100%. Last term was 100%. Everyone got accepted.
Between 90 and 100%, exactly. So, but if for any reason you do not pass, you are liable to have another course for an absolutely no charge whatsoever. That's a huge guarantee to my mind. There are not a lot of options like this that you can get to be able to get in. And usually, I think, well, not usually, but second time round is 100% acceptance.
I'd just like to add one more thing with regard to promises. We can't promise anything, but and I know it's going to sound a little bit like a cliche, but anybody and everybody, if he does the work, sits down, does the hours, does the program, there's no reason why he can't get accepted to one of the universities that we represent. This is something we believe in. That's why we push the students, we give all the material they need, and if they do the hours, there is no reason why they won't successfully pass the exam. And by the way, that same nature that they've managed to acquire during this course, which I think is one of the good things that you have a pre-med, is when you start getting into some kind of a learning routine, and you learn how to push yourselves, and you learn that you have more than what you thought your limits are. Once you go into that kind of mindset, there's no reason why you also won't finish the 6 years, even without having some kind of a promise or from some kind of a dean or institute.
Absolutely. Amit is asking, when does the 5-month foundation start? So we said 30
October 30, the 5 months, and September 4th, the 38-week, the long month. So September 4th, the long one to study in Czech, and October 30, the short one, which is not so short, right? It's pretty intense anyway. October 30 for 5 months.
And is there any prerequisite to the foundation?
The prerequisite is only to have a complete secondary school, A-levels, high school, or the certificate from school that would allow you to go to a university level degree in your home country, meaning any degree like biology or history or anything. With that, you can apply for the university, and of course, you have to pass the admission test. That's it. For the foundation, just having a complete high school diploma or being on your last year, that also will be okay. If you're on your last year of school and you know that you will graduate in a few months, then you can start also. That's okay, because documents you will need before the registration for exams.
Is the foundation year course taught online?
It is both. It is physical, and first, number one is physical from Prague, And we encourage everyone to come to Prague, not only because it's so much better to be with people and with teachers live, but also because you don't get anything like that. You are if you have been to Prague, you know it's good to be there. And if you haven't, you have to know it. It's good to be there. So if you can't, then you can do it online.
We completely understand people that may have a little bit of, ties they need to finish before they can come to Prague. But the optimal would be that you would be in an environment of studying with the friends that study with you, and so you're always constantly around that. Even when you go out and when you enjoy yourselves, cafeteria or restaurant, or just going out, you're always in that environment of studying, and it keeps you focused. That surrounding those new friends that you're making, it is important for the success, I believe. Again, obviously sometimes it's not optimal to do, so we have that available, the online. But it would be best to be frontal. You're speaking with the teachers. The teachers also can see whether you're having difficulties and aid you much better at the certain types of subjects.
Thank you. I'm going to answer the question. Will I need to take an entrance exam if I'm doing a 5-month foundation? As Diego said previously, yes, the entrance exam to medical school is directly after the 5-month or 10-month foundation program. Absolutely. This is what the foundation program also prepares you for. Do you provide campus accommodation? There is accommodation available for students. It is at a reimbursed price, if I'm not mistaken, something like
it's like €4 per night.
€4 per night or something.
Yeah.
So yes, you're able to get a discounted accommodation for
And
that.
Accommodation is in the same place of studies, so it's the same building, so it's very convenient for students.
Martin, you're asking to enter the medical school. To enter medical, should you pass some tests? But again, the answer was answered before, yes. For medical school, is it allowed to take 1 year off in the middle of the education and then continue afterwards? I think that question we're going to ask our head of program, Yotam. He's just joined, Dr. Ophir. We're going to ask him that. But just before, is there any other intake also apart from October?
We do it in February every year. It's a smaller group, but it's also much more stressful.
And I understand Amit is asking this because his school finishes in November. So Amit, I don't remember exactly where you're from and if you're in Europe, but that's okay. The program starts at the end of October, last day of October.
Yeah.
The first week is just get to know week. It's an assimilation week, and all lessons are online. So you can definitely, and recorded, you can definitely catch up. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
If you end school in November, we highly suggest you start the program in October.
Yeah.
And just before we move on to Dr. Ophir, I'm sorry, I have to call you that because you're a doctor already. Can we talk about costs? Those were the last two questions. Costs of the foundation program.
Yeah, yes, no problem. The foundation program, the 5 months is €10,285 for 5 months. This is just so you have an idea, about half of the year tuition fee of Charles I faculty, which is about €21,000 per year. But of course, you have other universities taking less tuition fees, like Palatsky is €12,500. For
university tuition varies per year. The medical university between 12,500 to 21,000 euro per year tuition fees. And the foundation program, as Diego said, for the 5 month, it's 10 and a half.
It's €10,285. If you do the longer program, it's more, it costs more, but in the long run, of course, it's the cheapest option because you don't have tuition fees in school, and that is €16,500. If you calculate and divide this between 7 years, because it's 10 months of the foundation and then 6 years of medical studies, if you divide it in 7 years, then you will realize that €16,500 is about, what was it? It's very cheap. It's like 2,000 and something euro or 3,000 euro per year, which is very cheap. But if you can't do it, then it's €10,285, and then you can You have tuition fees and the universities too.
Dr. Afil, thank you for joining us.
Hello, everyone.
We'd love you to give us a little bit of an introduction, tell us about the program, maybe about living in Prague expenses, because I never know if I'm accurate or not.
So welcome everybody. I am sure my distinct college already gave you a quite good overview about the course and everything there is to it. So I'll just introduce myself very quickly. My name is Yotam Ophir, and I recently graduated from the first faculty of medicine in Charles University. So I'm really fresh out of uni, and I will be starting my pediatric residency in here in Prague. So I wasn't born here and I studied English prior, but I chose to stay here for my specialty training afterwards. And I think it kind of speaks volumes in relation to how is it to live here. I don't know, you're from many places throughout the world, but I think Prague itself hosts a variety of things that just make it magical to be here. The atmosphere here is absolutely fantastic. It's very global. It's very, it feels international almost constantly. And the general vibe, if I may say such a word, is that the city is very calm. So if you've been to other like very large capital cities in Europe, like Rome or London or Berlin, they're all massive. And this, I don't know, for me, for example, this massiveness is like something I don't really enjoy. And there is some magic to the fact that Prague is indeed a capital city. So you enjoy all the benefits of living in a capital city in Central Europe. And at the same time, you are not forced to share that space with several million people in cases of, for example, metropolitan of Berlin and London and such. So the city itself is absolutely marvelous. I love it. There's old quarters which are really stunning. There's like new buildings. There is art and culture, and there is a lot to do. Even if like whatever you're into, there's to do in Prague. Really, it's like the nightlife here are fantastic. Like the city itself is so much fun, and I think it's a really big part on where you will choose to go. And that's important because, of course, getting into med school, number one, is the priority. But if you can choose between a capital city to a peripheral city of some sort, I would really put a good emphasis on the capital city. From my experience, it's amazing. It's really life-changing in the experience of how to study here, and it makes day-to-day just fantastic. The faculty is really challenging. I guess you've already heard about that. First faculty of medicine, Charles University. It's a super challenging program. It's 6 years, which are very intense. The program itself, the English program, and the international one, has been running for several years now. I think like 30, 40 years that they're receiving international students. So they're very well accustomed to it. It's not a new program at all. It's very well taught, and it's like with quite a hefty amount of experience. And they really make you work. Like it is not easy, and the first 2 years are very hard. They're the main filtration process. Although with the years, to be honest, the entrance exam will also become quite more challenging than it used to be. So we need to prepare you as best as we can during the course. But the university will really demand from you to work very hard. And the reason I'm saying is just because in the recent days, I've been having a lot of conversation with people that got accepted, and they're wondering where to go, to which faculty, which city, and all of these debates are really reasonable between yourself and your friends. And I can only speak from my experience, of course. And I think that it was the best choice I made was to come here, especially even because I was accepted to a different university in a different country, but that city was not the capital city. And I think coming here and moving my life to Prague really, speaks volumes to how much I enjoyed here. And there was a question I don't want to forget. Can you stop your studies during the studies themselves? It is possible. I know of one person that did that. She took a gap year and then she joined the year afterwards. So it is possible. There are pros and cons to everything in life. I think if you're stopping your 6 year, it needs to be for something really important, like, big to support your mental health, to do something really important back home. Like, I wouldn't stop it for traveling, if that makes sense. Do it before, because you will, accustom to yourself, and you will find your pattern and how many hours you study per day, and your friends and the places you like and the things you like to do. And being away for a year from all of that can really send you spiraling when you come back, because it's a new group of people and they have already their own interactions, and you're kind of being parachuted into some group of people that you might not know because it was the year that was accepted 1 year after you. So of course, to each his own. And if you have a good reason that you really need to take 1 year off, for sure, go for it. But it does not come without a cost. But of course, you can freeze your status. I also know, I don't know if that's still the case, but when I remember is that even if you get accepted, you can pay and even decide to start 1 year after. So again, this Diego Eliat might correct me if I'm wrong, but like it's, from what I understand, it's a possibility.
Yes.
Any more questions from you guys? Something that you would like to hear about, specifically about the city, the university, the foundation program? Because I guess you've heard quite a lot about the foundation program.
Is it hard? Is it a hard program, Yotam?
So I think the foundation program kind of leans on two main things. We don't expect you to come with a lot of knowledge, and it's perfectly fine if you come with zero knowledge, but you have to be able to sit down and do the work. So even if we have 4 hours with you daily, and that's the general amount of what we do, for example, for the 5 months, it doesn't mean that you are okay in terms of the knowledge. You really need to go home and study all day. And this means that you need to expand your horizons, and we will supply you with as much as resources as we can. We have excellent presentations and excellent practice books, and we give you homework, and you will get everything like very neatly organized. But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't, open YouTube, watch your videos. Something clear is less clear, more clear. You need to be proactive when you're studying. Being super passive, coming to class for 4 hours and then I'll say, this is what I know, that might not cut it, because it's the processing of the information. It's the revision again, that really puts you in the level you need to enter and to pass the entrance exams. So memorization only for 4 hours a day won't do it for you. You really need to work every day, but the team is really good. As I can say so myself, our team is really, really good, and we're experienced with this, and our teachers are well aware of what are the challenges in different faculties. And we have teachers from the first faculty, and we have teachers from the third faculty. So we also have like a bit more, dynamic views about the challenges. But it really begins and starts with you. And if you are not a hard worker, then you need to change that if you want to study medicine.
Absolutely. Any more questions, guys? Prague, studies, medicine, the first faculty.
I'm trying to think about maybe more topics to cover, but
Akira was asking about the payment plans for the foundation. So usually when you register for the foundation, Akira, you pay a deposit fee and an administrative fee. That is 3,500 euro and 348 euro administrative fee. And this is for both programs. But the thing is that if you are needing to request a student visa, then you will need to pay in full the program before you start the process. Otherwise, a visa might be rejected. We don't recommend paying in parts if you're applying for the visa, because the embassy wants to know that you paid in full for your studies before you come to. And of course, if you have a European passport, then you could do in parts, because if you're not dependent on the embassy, then we can allow you to be more comfortable, and we allow 2 and 3 payments along the course.
There is an amazing question here that Amit is asking. As an international student after 6 years, can I continue to stay in Prague?
So that's a really good question. So it kind of depends if you're a European citizen or not. Yeah, exactly, the notion of citizenship. So let's discuss that for a sec. If you are a European citizen and you have EU passport, then there's absolutely no problem, and your only requirement is to know the language. If you're an Indian citizen, then what you need to do is to essentially get a job offer. So if you finish your 6 years, you can have another visa, and it's called a job-seeking visa. If I'm not wrong, it lasts about 9 to 10 months. And in that period of time, you can apply for jobs. And once you are being hired, then the hospital can basically cover for you for the visa. However, I have no experience with this because I have EU family visa, so I'm here on like a bit of a different status. If referring to internship, if you're referring to the the specialty, which happens after the 6 years, so med school is 6 years, right? That's like 6 years, and then normally after that you have the residency itself. And so let's say you get like a work visa, and let's say it's for 10 months, sorry. And during that time, if you manage to get a job offer, then the hospital can say, okay, we want this person to come work for us at the department. But to actually get to this level, you need to come to that position very well prepared. This means you need to be essentially fluent in Czech, passing the examinations in Czech after graduation to see that you are able to speak, communicate, write, talk, etc. You get your medical license at the end of 6 years, and then this one is applying, to EU, USA, and many other countries. But to get to the point where you're staying in Prague after graduation, so you need to have work-seeking visa for 9 months, and I think you can only have it once. And in that period of time, you should be able already to find a work to stay, like somewhere that would hire you. Okay, so it's very, very specific per person. It's very dynamic. It's a very delicate process. Yeah, it's much easier, of course, if you have EU passports.
Okay, guys, Yotam, you were amazing. I'm sorry, we're just out of time. The next Professor Brisman, the Vice Dean, is waiting for you guys.